Hi guys, and welcome to another episode of JDM Masters, and today we are going to be looking at how to check a used car, and we have Albo here today with us. Actually, this is something you want to buy.
Yes, actually, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm here to check out an S2000, and since you helped me find the Forester, I figured who else better to come check out the car before I make a big decision.
Yeah.
So I've been looking for a yellow S2000 for quite a while, probably the past several years actually. I still had the Miata, but I was always looking, and now we found one that's pretty good. Thanks to Masaki, he's kind of like the car whisperer, horsepower whisperer.
So this car wasn't actually listed yet on the typical car centers.
Yep.
And we're here at HMR Honda, which is a specialist Honda dealer. So they should have some really nice cars, but we're just going to go through a couple of things that you want to look for in a used car. So there's a couple of main points, and we're going to keep that in mind while looking at not only this used car, but any used car. The first thing is if the condition matches the mileage. So you just want to see like wear and tear, and how, even though the car has been well kept, we want to check if things have been changed or tuned or detuned.
Okay.
That it could indicate anything that the mileage has been tampered with. Okay. We also want to check whether if the seller claims that it has not been in an accident, whether this is true or not.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the third thing we want to check is the maintenance done by the owners until now. So that's mechanical stuff, the engine and the drivetrain and the chassis. And obviously, if it's possible, we'll have to take a test drive just to check whether things that you can't check while the car is static, driving, the brakes, the gear shift, the clutch, the engine response feels nice. But maybe we can't do it today because we're in the middle of this coronavirus thing. So the most we can do is when we start the engine, move it a couple of meters just to check the clutch condition.
Yep.
All right?
Okay. Yeah, sounds good. And I guess it's always good to come with somebody you trust who's very knowledgeable, right?
Yes, at least have a second opinion.
Yes.
You're right, because one of the things that could happen when you go by yourself, you get overexcited.
Or you get pressured. Yep. So, yeah, thank you for coming by. And let's check this out. So, this is a AP1 S2000.
Yes.
Initially, I was drawn to it because I love, the mods that have been done to it. The front spoiler and side spats and the roll bar. And it reminds me a lot of my Roadster, actually.
This is like the natural upgrade for you.
Yes.
Now, let's have a look at what this car is, first of all, whether the body condition. So we're going to start from the outside. It's best to take a look at the car from a distance, actually. Now we're going to try and go down low. And what we're going to check for is by scanning the side. Now adjust your eyes so that if you can see any dents or crease on the body lines on the door. So you have a look like this way. Scan. So you stand here, the camera's here. So what we're going to look for basically is to see along this line here if there are any creases or dents on the door, whether it's here or here. All right. And then we'll do all for the same for the other side as well. So do you want to check it by sitting here? So this car does look pretty good. There's no obvious pin dents on the bodywork at all. And the next thing to check for on the rear, because this is on the metalwork, and you're going to check on the fender whether it's been pulled out, and I think this one has been rolled.
Yeah, it's done really nicely actually.
The rear fender looks has been rolled, as you can see from the side.
Yes.
It's popped out a little bit to accommodate these larger tires.
But I think they did a good job because they sealed it.
The next thing to check with, especially with these old 90s cars where the bumper line is parallel, it's like horizontal, whether it's sagging or not, you see? Okay. So here it looks like it's a bit off, but sometimes the sag is due to the clips used on these cars. Like modern cars, the flush line is actually in the diagonal, so it sits really tight. On these older 90s cars and 80s cars, it does sag a little bit. But if it's way off on the left or right, then we're going to verify whether it's been in an accident and repaired or not. So have a look on the other side as well. And let's just close the trunk to check the body panel gaps as well. So you want to check if the panel gaps on the left and the right are equal. So for example, here and here, yes, they're equal, so this is good. If the car has been in a bad accident, if they repair it badly, the body panel gaps are off quite a lot. Sometimes this is due to when they paint the car to take off the boot, it's not mounted properly.
Looks like here it got into a little bit of a fender bender here.
Which is quite common. It's like reversing, you know.
Yeah, into a pole or something.
Yep. And you can see some certain scratches here, but that's okay. That's still fine. So the bodywork looks pretty good. And the next thing we want to check for is body rust.
Okay, that's what I'm most concerned about, especially with a 20-year-old car.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so if it's not bubbling up, most of the body rust usually happens due to lack of undersealing. We've got to go underneath the chassis and check first. It's best to start at the center and have a look underneath. You might have to get down really low. Now, if rust already starts on the sills, then you can tell it's going to be pretty bad. But you want to look, if possible, with a light and check all the floor frames. Usually it starts rusting from the end of the floor panel here.
I see.
If there's surface rust, that's okay, as long as it's surface rust. But if the rust is really bad on the edges of the front and the rear, then it could possibly have a hole. More often than not, also, the rust will also happen inside the rear fender. And the rear fender is, very hard to replace because it's welded into the body. So you want to look inside, maybe with a light, and just check if there's any rust or not. And you can put your hand inside and feel. If you just get dirt, that's okay. If you touch it and it's like a brown rust coming out, then that indicates it's rust.
It's just dirt.
It's just dirt. It's just dirt. And next we go to the engine bay to check for more rust and also signs of body repair. Now, the first thing we want to check is whether these bolts have been removed by any scuffing. Sometimes they can remove them very carefully with like a rubber or a rubber socket, but this still would indicate that it's been out of alignment or something. Also, we want to check whether it's been resprayed. And what do you think? Has this car been resprayed or not?
I don't think so, because I think they wouldn't respray the interior; they would just respray the outside. So you would see where the spray ends between the inside and the outside.
That's right. Yeah, that's a good point. That's a really good point. How about on the S2000, the frontal frame can be seen very easily, and you can already see that there is surface rust on the edges here, but that's pretty much about it.
Are they plastic? I think it's plastic, huh?
It is plastic, yeah. And the lower bumper, whether it has this obviously bad repainting over here.
I guess it's hard to find that paint match, right? But I think they did a decent backyard job.
Probably the last owner did it himself,
Yeah,
just to
yeah,
spray paint it.
I think the color is very slightly different.
It is obviously different, especially if you look here. Here's much darker
Yeah.
than in here. One thing is that the bumper looks like, you don't see any stone chips or cracks for this age, and also the mileage of 80 over is less than 80,000. So it is quite possible that the bumper at least has been replaced.
This was probably repainted. Look at mine. So because of the age, wax is gone or something.
And
like
because
that.
it's
They paint this. And then this looks newer.
Yes.
This should have some stone chips.
Yeah, exactly. It should have some stone chips, and this looks much newer than the fender or maybe even the bonnet. So let's close the fenders have probably not been replaced, or the bumper could have had like a big scratch, or like just a very minor collision, and chances are it's been replaced before.
Yep.
But that's okay. We want to determine, it is a used car after all,
Right.
It depends also on the price. If your price range is at a certain amount, then you can forgive certain, replacements as long as it's well done. Well, what do you think? What do you think of this?
I mean, it fits my budget. Condition-wise, it's better than I expected, actually. The mileage is really low, which I was looking for. It has the mods. It was almost like I thought it might be too good to be true.
Right.
So, we're just looking for some red flags. And for the most part, I think this has been pretty well cared for. You want to start it up?
Okay, so let's open the engine again. Now this shop has cleaned up a lot of the dirt, and they've coated everything with this kind of like shiny wax, maybe to make it look good in appearance, but it also means it covers any possible leaks. Anyway, first thing you want to check with the radiator to see whether there are any cracks on the core support. So this is a stock radiator. You smell if there's any coolant. Press the top radiator hose to see, and if you can feel those cracks. Yes, all of the hoses. Touch them all just to see, you know, the condition, if they're hard or not. Usually these return and vacuum hoses as well. Check around the engine valve head cover to see if there are leaks. Look down inside to see if there are leaks coming from the oil filter over here. Yeah. And then go to the engine and remove the oil filler cap. All right, and what we're going to look for is we're going to try and look inside to see if there is any sludge inside the filler cap hole. And another thing to do, you put your finger inside this and you can check if there's sludge here. It means that the engine has a lot of sludge. So the oil now seems clean.
Yeah.
And there's no sludging.
Yep.
Of course, this is not a stock oil filler cap, so that could have been changed as well. But looking inside, it looks okay. So at the very least, you know, oil maintenance looks like it has been done very well, or at least up to date.
Which is very important for these very high revving engines.
Exactly.
It's like a motorcycle.
You check the oil stick as well to see if the oil level, which is very important, especially on the S2000's F20C or any VTEC engine. Check the level.
New replace, I guess.
They probably just serviced it, and the oil level is new. So this is an indication of whether the shop also has done good oil, good maintenance before they show you the car.
And I think this shop has a pretty good reputation. You know, we
as a specialist Honda dealer.
Yep. As a specialist, they do a lot of track days.
I mean, would you go to a shop that doesn't actually specialize in these kind of cars?
I mean, usually I would go investigate the cars based on budget first. Go check it out, see how it is, and then, you know, if because you can check the prices online. I happen to feel like the price of this is very reasonable. Mm-hmm. In fact, I thought, you know, I feel like it's quite a good deal, and you know, looking over it, I think it's pretty good condition.
And next, we also go to the trunk to check underneath the cover. So this S2000, you have to remove a lot of items. Has the space saver, and you can't really see here, but you can see through the holes here, maybe a little bit. Ideally, you want to remove and check all of these, but maybe we can't do that. So if you can't do this, the other way is to actually go underneath and check it. Check the wheel well to see whether there's rust or not. And then there's a hole through the bumper here. You can also see the inside frame. That's what we want to check for. At the same time, while you're down here, you want to go deep inside and see the condition of the bushings, especially of the rear differential. These bushings do wear out and they crack, and that means a lot of expensive repairs to make it run well. But first of all, we just want to check about the rust, and this one looks good. The frame looks all right. And if you can come in here, this part, you can see the frame underneath here. Okay. That's good. So mileage is 75,000, which is actually quite low for a car that's almost 20 years old. If any of the lights, like the engine check lamp lights, still stay on, then that's not good. So all the engine lights, the check lamp should disappear, and you can also check whether the interior, it disappeared.
Okay.
Like the steering wheel and how much.
The steering was very nice condition. No cracks in the dashboard.
Yeah, like if the steering wheel usually is worn out, if it's stock car, it's an indication, you know, if the mileage is low and a lot of the interior is worn out, it's also a red flag, you know?
Yeah. What would you give this interior? This is like a...
What do you think?
I think there's nothing wrong with it. So, I mean, I always check the condition of the dashboard.
Yeah.
Condition of the edges of the navigation, condition of the carpet, condition of the seats, especially condition of the wheel. Mm-hmm. Usually, like if somebody has a ring, it'll scuff it up.
That's right. That's a good point.
Condition of you know, any touch points.
Like like especially the handles,
Yes.
the buttons, you know, if it's worn out. And this is an important point. If it's got an auto roof, whether it locks in.
Yep.
Nicely or not.
No tears, nothing.
No tears, nothing?
No,
so
good.
checking the soft top.
And the plastic rear is in very good condition, actually.
So a good indication of the car that's been well kept or maybe kept in a garage is how good the condition of the soft top is.
Either covered or kept in a garage, because this plastic top will turn yellow if it's not covered, or if it's not inside a garage. And I know this because I had two NA Miatas with plastic rear windows, and that just happens. And there's not a lot of rips, especially at the points where the fabric is being pulled against the support pillars. So it means it wasn't open and closed when it was too cold.
That's a really good point. You're the one experienced buying cars with soft tops, not me.
Yeah.
Oh, look, he has a Spoon Sports blue white mirrors as well. There's a lot of parts in it.
That's cool. A lot of good parts. This is gonna make all the US guys really jealous because they never got the navigation cubby.
That's only a JDM thing for the stock
JDM
navigation system.
And also the stock navigation system is garbage.
Well,
so this is really good because this is the Panasonic Gorilla system. Like this alone, I would have spent like $2,000 to do.
Now, you can see certain parts have been changed. Like this cover is not from the original AP2. Yeah, so tasteful upgrades. In fact, a lot of the whole car has been tastefully upgraded with lots of things. Yes. And also the seats, because they're leather and they crack easily if it's not been well cared on. This is good, I think. Really, really good. Goes with the mileage, I think, isn't it?
I think, considering the age of the car, to find one in this condition with this low mileage, I think it's quite good, especially with these little bits.
Yeah. I feel that regardless of these poorly sprayed on parts, but like the navigation or the upgraded sound system does show like the last owner had some sort of taste.
Yep. Oh, even Spoon Sport mirror.
Yeah. Oh, so the back mirror as well on the side mirror. So now now that the engine's warmed up a little bit, we're gonna do a slight rev test. The temperature is not so bad, so what we're gonna do is rev it. These Honda engines, when they rev up, it should drop very fast. That's pretty good. And if the sound is smooth, there's any clacking, different sounds on the engine. So could you go to the engine bay? I'll rev it a little bit, and you tell me if there are any like strange sounds.
Okay.
When you come to buy a second-hand car, you should always come with the money ready. Check all the papers, the registration papers, like the maintenance note as well, because all these things are indications of if the car has been well kept, if everything's in order.
And if you're trying to hide anything.
And trying to hide anything.
Sneaky about anything.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's good to try and come once and decide whether you want to buy the car or not, because if you come back the second time, they're going to make it difficult for you to. They know you like the car.
You're not so indecisive.
Yes. Yeah. So it might make it tougher for negotiations, Yeah. But overall, I think this example is probably good to go for.
Do you think so? In Japan, typically, do people negotiate for cars, or do they just go with the car price that's listed on Goonet or Car Sensor?
I think if they're not knowledgeable about cars, they'll probably won't negotiate because they're not used to negotiating for stuff. But those who know about cars will try to actually negotiate for them.
Users won't, but dealers do.
The dealers do, exactly. We're professionals about it, so we know about it, right? Yeah. Okay, so guys, thank you for watching. There was a quick, nice video on how to check for used cars. Let us know in the comments what other things you'd like to see. And that's all for us right now. Thank you. Peace out.